Hi, Jen.
Hi, Jessie.
How are you?
Well, better now that I'm talking to you. How are you?
I'm I'm doing pretty well, actually. I have a new baby.
I know. I didn't think I'd be talking to you so soon.
I know. I know I couldn't stay away from you though.
Thank goodness, because I'm lonely without you.
How's your week been? Tell me about your highs and lows.
Okay. Well, working without you is not my favorite.
Oh, you're so sweet.
But it's also true. No, my high for the week is actually this podcast. I didn't realize how much we talk all the time,
Yeah.
and I miss talking to you.
I miss talking to you too. It's funny because I wonder do we almost talk more since we started our relationship, not our relationship, but basically in a pandemic. I feel like we were for the
Potentially.
last year we've talked to each other like probably 4 hours a day.
Yes. Yeah, potentially. I mean, I think that's part of it. I also, my other high for the week is I started therapy again this week, which was wonderful.
Amazing.
But she was asking
Wonderful.
me about my support system, and I was like, well, I definitely have Jessie, but she's on maternity leave right now.
She's on maternity leave from being my support system.
So I can't bother her. Um, but no, I really noticed this week how much we talk, and I miss you. So I've been looking forward to a podcast
Oh, that's so
all
sweet. I
week.
have been looking forward to this too. There are a few
Um,
people I would talk to right now on my level of sleep.
yeah. And I'm trying, oh, my low for the week is that I am getting antsy to move.
Yeah.
So I'm very pumped that we found a house and everything's moving forward.
Mid-October is you're moving, right?
Yeah, mid-October we're moving. So by the time that we move in, it will have been 6 months without a home of our own,
6 months out of your bed.
6 months out of our bed. My
Yeah.
my entire pregnancy essentially has
Yeah.
has been not in my bed. All of my stuff has been in storage, and it will have been 8 months since we listed the house. Because like once you list the house, you're in the moving mentality.
Totally. It's like everything's chaotic. You have to keep
Yeah.
well, not you, but most of us have to keep cleaning up for showings and yada yada. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It will have been 8 months. So I'm starting to hit my breaking point where I'm like,
Yeah.
I need a room that is myself. Now, my office, the entire time we've been displaced, has been in like random areas.
Yeah, I know because I get to meet your whole family all the time.
Yes. And
Just chit
people
chat
can
with.
find me all the time. And like, as much as I love everyone, I'm like, please leave me alone.
Please get away.
Matt's been like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I just need everyone to leave me alone for a couple minutes.
You're like, I need an escape room.
Yes. So yeah, those are my
That's
highs and lows.
fun. Last year we were kind of in the same. We moved last October, and it's funny because one of the pictures of like our house empty came up today, and I was like, oh my god, do you remember how stressful and
Yeah.
just antsy this whole time was, and especially now ordering furniture. It wasn't even as bad last year, but like ordering furniture and trying to figure out what you're keeping. Well, you guys have your stuff in storage, so it's a little bit less
No,
of that.
well, no. So I sold almost all of our big
Oh,
furniture
right, all your furniture,
because
right? So
I
you do
didn't
have
know
to get
where we
more
were
stuff.
going, and storage is so expensive that I only
Yeah.
kept. We have the baby's crib, which Emmy
Hmm.
uses a toddler bed, but our bed and a couch, like that's it in terms of big furniture.
Yeah. So you
That
do. Yeah. That's.
that was actually another hiccup this week is that I ordered bunk beds for Emmy's room this week because the shipping lead times are 5 to 7 weeks.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, okay, great. We'll
Really.
be in the house for maybe a week to 3 weeks and they'll show up. And then they shipped next day to the,
Oh my God, that is the worst.
yeah. So I had to get a hold. I was on the phone with UPS and the bunk bed company between the two of them, 2 to 3 hours trying to
Oh
get
my God.
the package rerouted to my parents' house so that we could just put it in storage. They won't
Oh no.
the best I could do was delay it by 2 weeks. So then I got a hold of the sellers of our house and I was like, I'm so sorry, but is there any way we can move something in before we actually take possession?
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah.
They were okay with it.
Yeah, they were super, super nice
That's really nice.
and totally understanding. Yeah, the guy is crazy nice in general and was like, "Oh yeah, we could move stuff around and you could even build the bunk beds if you want." I was like, "No, no, like
Too
we,
much, too much.
yeah, I'm happy to just get the boxes in a place that's inside."
um That's funny. When we first moved to Chicago, it was the same thing. We didn't bring any of our furniture from New York, and I had ordered all of it. And this was, 2017, so before the world ended. And furniture lead times were crazy, but I like tried to, everything like looked at shipping dates and was like, okay, cool. Everything came early. And like, I was like, whoops. And kept calling like our landlord and was like, I'm so sorry, but can you move another thing in?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Luckily, they had screwed up so badly. They were renovating the apartment, and when we got there, like it wasn't done. And so it ended up being like an okay situation where I was like, yeah, I'm kind of a pain in the ass, but you're way more of a pain in the ass because my our washer and dryer were literally like on the patio when we got there.
God.
It was so crazy.
So Jesse, how are you?
I am doing as well as I could expect to do. As I could. What is the obviously
Well,
not
as you'd
too well.
expect.
I don't know. Yeah, as well as like one could expect 2 weeks into a new baby, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I don't even know. I don't want to dive in too quickly, but like highs and lows, my low would be so this whole sickness thing, we talked about it like last 2 weeks ago, but
Mhm.
like, so Teddy got a cough, this weekend. I'm not sure exactly where he picked it up. Um, but he picked up a cough this weekend, and obviously with a newborn that's a little bit like scary, and obviously it's even more scary when it's potentially COVID. And so Kyle and I had, a slight spiral before we got him tested, like, oh my god, what if it's COVID? How are we going to quarantine? He's going to have to be home for 14 days, this whole like, we were in a tizzy. Got him tested, it's not COVID, but it still sucks because like he has to be separate from the baby.
Mhm.
I don't know if anyone knows this. Kyle and I went through this last time with Teddy. If your baby is under 3 months and gets a fever over 100.4 degrees, you have to bring them to the hospital, and they have to stay for like 72 hours. They do a lumbar puncture. So they like a spinal tap basically. Um, they have to like do a catheter, and then they also have to do something else. It's like not fun.
Yeah, it's really scary.
Like, yeah, it's very scary. It's not fun. It's like a very big understatement. It was like pretty traumatizing last time. They're so tiny, it's like it was just so sad. Anyway, luckily everything was fine, but yes, it's like we were a little bit scarred from that. So like just knowing that could happen, it's just been a little bit more we've been a little bit more paranoid about it. But the I guess the upside, I don't know if the upside, but like we have masks all over the house. So like we've been wearing our masks and, keeping them separate. And like we've all gotten like a crash course in how to like not spread viruses this year.
Right.
Some of us listen
If you've been paying attention.
if you've been paying attention and not on QAnon sites. um, so anyway, I think like we've been doing a pretty good job. I think I caught a little bit of it, but I'm also breastfeeding. So it might not be the worst thing because I'm passing on antibodies,
Mhm.
hopefully, of it to Mercer, baby Mercer. So yeah, that's my low. And my high is that I have a new baby.
Yeah, so snuggly.
He's so snuggly and sweet, and just like Teddy was never a snuggler. Like he never wanted to cuddle at all. Even when he was a baby, he like didn't want to be held. He always wanted to be in his rock and play. He still to this day will like take your hand off him if like he if you're sitting next to him. So I don't know. This baby just loves to snuggle. He loves to like fall asleep on me all the time, and he's so sweet, and he smells like a baby.
Yeah, that's cute. So today I want to talk about what it's like transitioning to two kids.
Yeah.
Like, you obviously just did it and you're in
Yeah.
the thick of it. And
It's funny because like I think if parenting teaches you anything, it teaches you a lot, but like it's like stay humble. And so as I launch into talking about it, I just like want to remind everyone that I'm staying humble because I know that everything could change in 24 hours and I
Yeah.
might be running around with my hair on fire in a
We're
minute,
going
but
off 2 weeks of data.
we're going exactly, exactly. This is not this hypothesis has not been like
You're not trying
thoroughly
to get
vetted,
a parenting
but
expert book.
exactly. No, no, no. And that's like one of my biggest pet peeves is when like
Oh, I know it
especially
is.
especially first time parents when they like their parents for a week and they're like writing these I don't know books basically blog posts about like everything you need or everything you need to do and I'm like just give it a couple weeks, okay? Like
Mhm.
let's
Exactly.
um
So, how was bringing Mercer home?
so funny. You might hear him a little bit, of course. He's napping right next to me. Um bringing Mercer home was actually pretty good. So Teddy, my mom was here watching Teddy, and so she brought Teddy to the hospital to pick us up. And Teddy was very excited. Like my mom had been like prepping him for a couple days, we're gonna go see baby brother at the hospital and everything. And um he was in the lobby when we came downstairs and it was so cute. And he like walked over and he's like, "Is that my baby brother?"
Oh,
And we have a video of it, and it's just like, I mean, it's like a tearjerker. It's the sweetest thing ever. He's like in his car seat, and Teddy just like squats down and like touches his cheek, and is just laughing and so happy and excited. And at the same time, like everything's a little bit chaotic and anxious, and the valet people are like, "You only have 30 minutes. You got to get in the
yeah.
car." So I'm like, "Oh." So we get in the car. It's just it's just chaotic and just like getting in. Obviously, first time getting two kids in the car. Teddy's being a toddler and just like doing whatever, spinning
Yes, so who got
around.
Teddy in the car? Did Kyle do it?
I think I can't even remember if Kyle was getting Mercer in the car. My mom might have gotten Teddy in the car. I'm like limping in my diaper. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just like a little crazy. Anyway, so Teddy, like at first was totally cool and was like talking. He was like, "We have to be quiet for baby brother, this and that." And then all of a sudden, like he just yells and does this like dinosaur roar, like raw, like really loud. And then Kyle and I like both jumped and we're like, "Whoa." And then he just like burst into tears
Oh,
out of nowhere. And it was so sweet, but like so sad. And like, cause I think he was just so overwhelmed with emotion.
yeah,
And so he bursts into tears. And so obviously coming down 2 days postpartum, I burst into tears.
of course.
I'm just like, oh my God. So anyway, then I realized I didn't put on the iPad in the car. So I put on Daniel Tiger. We calmed down. It was fine. But yeah, then like bringing him home, honestly, like because I think I went early, I just all the little things that I was supposed to do, like get the books and read the books and prep him and
Yeah.
uh get the gift for the from baby brother. Like it was like a whole thing. And I was like, oh, I forgot all these things. So anyway, we got home and like it was mostly fine. It's just again, it's just kind of chaotic coming home from the hospital. Obviously, very different than last time because it's not like you just come home and sit. It's like, oh, Teddy needs dinner. Teddy needs
I think you texted me like it was a little different this time. We had a Daniel Tiger dance party instead
yes.
of an hour.
So like then that's the other thing. I'm like trying so hard to like not, to like divide my attention as much as you possibly can. And um so then like we go upstairs. I'm like right behind them. Kyle has both the boys. We go upstairs and Mercer started crying and then Teddy started crying. It was like one of like Teddy was like, "Why is he crying?" And then like just started crying. And I was like, "Oh no, no, no." So then after that, I went upstairs and Teddy wanted to have a dance party. So I was there in my diaper, fresh out of the hospital, having a full on dance party
That's
with
funny.
Teddy. And yeah, I don't know. So overall, it's been I think that's like everyone is like scares you about that. It hasn't been as bad as I thought it would be. I think he's definitely like a little bit more emotional,
Yeah.
but I'm not even sure because like he's just a toddler, so he's kind of just really
Right.
emotional in general. You know what I mean? It's like knock on wood so far he hasn't had any like sleep regressions or anything. huge just this cold, which again, that's been like a little bit annoying because it's like we're trying to keep them away from each other. So I'll have
Right.
Mercer and
How are
Kyle
you
will
even
have him.
doing that?
Basically when he was home for the last 2 days, I just stayed in their room, more or less.
In your room
In our room, yeah. And like I'd come down to
with
pump, but
Mercer.
like yeah, to pump or something. But I'm just hanging out upstairs
Got it.
today.
Yeah, that's a change. So did anything catch you by surprise so far?
Um
You're
okay, so
very so actually I think this is actually important for the people to hear. Jessie's very put together, like shockingly put together. I've run into her twice at the beach.
I made a new friend at the beach a couple weeks ago, and then she was there last week, and she was kind of like, weren't you pregnant last time I saw you like 2 weeks ago? I was like, oh yeah, I had the baby. Like he's at home.
Yeah, we've been taking Emmy as like something to do when we have her on Fridays or we go on the weekends and like we're there hanging out and all of a sudden I hear, "Hey Hermans." And I'm like, "Who? No one knows us here." And I turn around and it's Jessie. And I was like, "What is Jessie doing here? Where is the baby?" Jessie is
Yep.
very put together.
So lots of things. Okay, so I don't know if it caught me by surprise, but it was like a nice confirmation, I guess. A lot of people, so not that there it has to be one or the other, because I think you could also have a tough time with both. And again, I'm 2 weeks in, so I'm not like, hanging my head on any of this. But I think that a lot of people told me 1 to 2 was like so much harder than 0 to 1.
That's what everybody says.
Everyone says that. And I had a really hard time believing that because I had such a hard time transitioning from 0 to 1. Like I had like motherhood just like hit me like a fucking freight train and
Yeah.
it was rough. Like it was, I don't know. I just had no idea what I was doing. I was like the first of my friends to have kids. So I just didn't really have many people to warn me about things or talk to or anything. I at that time like had moved to Chicago recently. I like had friends here, but those relationships have definitely gotten stronger like in the past like 4 years. And again like this time this time so many people around me were pregnant. Last time it was like me and just one other my friend Michelle, and like thank God for her because I really would have just lost it. But yeah, it was my first, I felt like very alone and just very unprepared.
Now I have a theory on this. So I think all those things are true. But my best friend Val was so her son is Teddy's like almost exact age.
Yeah.
They're like 2 weeks apart or something.
Yeah, we're on like same schedules.
Yes. And you both had your first in November after the weather had turned.
Mhm.
And you both had your second in, let's call it summer. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it was summer. It was end of
Yeah.
Do you think the weather has anything to do with it? Because I had Emmy mid-September and we felt like it was like vacation the first 2 weeks.
I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure that the weather definitely did not help because it's not only the weather, it was also going into the holidays.
Yeah.
And you know how I feel about the holidays.
You take them. Krista Kringle comes out and she's real fucking serious.
And so I think that really kind of like made it hit extra hard because like I wanted to enjoy the holidays and like
Oh,
it's
that
hard,
makes sense. And you
you know what
can't.
I mean? You can't. No, it's like
You don't really realize how much kids change you immediately.
exactly. Like, and that was, I literally hosted Thanksgiving 7 days after Teddy was born, if not less,
Which
like
is
5 days.
bananas.
Yeah, like hosted my entire family for Thanksgiving. And like we weren't sleeping. We had no idea what we were doing. And then again, like Christmas was what, 4 weeks, 5 weeks later. And so like we were just coming out of the like newborn haze and we went to Chris Kindle Market twice that year. Like, are we crazy? Like with a 3-week-old, like it was just and like in between all of that, that's when we also had the hospital stay. Like it was just madness.
Yeah.
And so it was mixed with the weather. Yeah, we couldn't get out for walks, like we couldn't really do much. There were a lot of things. But yes, I agree. I think the weather this time is a total game changer. I also think like, last time I had gone from living in New York, like
Mhm.
and then moved to Chicago and then was pregnant like 3 months after moving to Chicago and had just gotten married and it was just all so fast. And
Right.
then after that, what I mean, like that kind of like killed my first, not killed, but like my first year in Chicago. Like I was like, okay, like summer will be so much fun. We'll go out, we'll go to all these restaurants and drink and have fun. And it's like, oh, there we go. Never mind.
Yeah,
Can't drink,
I mean, it tanked your summer.
Right. And so I think that that was part of it. But then it was just such like a jarring like loss of freedom and like loss of like mourning my previous life. And this time, not only is it like I'm already a mom,
Right.
nothing like it's not like nothing's changed, but nothing's really, it's not everything just takes double the time. It takes like twice as long to get out of the house, but that's
Sure.
kind of it. It's not like I'm changing my whole lifestyle, especially because we didn't really leave the house for the past year.
Right.
I mean, like, yes, we did to a certain, what I mean? Like, I'm not saying like we've not literally been stuck in the house, but because we've
We
been
haven't
working
been
from
very
home,
social.
right? We haven't been very social. And so, like, being home with a newborn right now just feels like kind of what we've been doing for the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Whereas before being home with a newborn felt like jail. Like it felt, what I mean? It was like, oh my
Right.
gosh, I have no freedom. And so I think that that was a big part of it too.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think so far going from 1 to 2, I just don't see it getting any like more difficult. There will be difficult times. I'm like that's the other thing. I feel so prepared this time because I'm like, you just know shit's coming. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so it's like
And you know
when
it's a phase.
it's a phase. And so like when it's like right now, I think we have perspective on our side. Whereas last time we weren't sleeping and we were like, oh my God, what did we get ourselves into? Are we never gonna sleep again? And this time we're like, okay, we just gotta make it 4 more weeks. And then we get those like really solid. Like Teddy was sleeping through the night by 2 months, I think. so
That's nice.
so that's like our perspective right now. Granted, I will caveat all of this with like, we also did things this time to make sure that we were set up for success. This night nurse has been incredible.
Yeah.
We have her coming 2 nights a week. And I mean, it just like to get those 8-hour stretches
Mhm.
and know that you only have to go like 3 or 4 days and then like you can at least get good sleep. I think that makes a huge difference. I also think that so last time, huge mistake. We didn't take turns. We were both getting up like to feed for like the first 3 weeks. This time I took your advice and we're doing the shifts. And so like I take the like 10 to 2 a.m. and then Kyle takes 2 to 6, which is really more like 9 to 2 and then 2 to 7, like depending on
Yeah.
what time Teddy gets up, depending on what time I go upstairs. But it's like basically we're both getting these like solid 5-hour stretches and then we take like one feed and then 1 or 2 feeds, depending on what time it is. But then after that, like, we get another, like, 2 hours, so it's kinda like I'm still getting, like, anywhere between 5 to 7 hours of sleep a
It
night.
makes a difference. You're not a complete zombie.
Right, it does, and so and then it's also, like, right now, for the past 2 weeks, Kyle's going back to work on Monday, but we've been able to, like, fit in a couple of naps here and there, so, it's like whereas the last time I think I was running on 2 hours of sleep a night, like, I
Yeah.
was I was in a bad place.
Yeah, and that's just not sustainable.
No, and it's not sustainable when you're both running on 2 hours of sleep a night because, like, then you're just, like, ready to kill each other,
Yeah.
like, and everyone around you.
Yeah. Um,
So
it was funny because I tried to exclusively breastfeed without any formula. Like we supplemented right out the gate. And then I've mentioned this before, but the lactation consultant said to me something you should never say to me, which was, you're so close. If you just try a little bit harder. you'll be able to do it. So I was like, oh, I have to knock this out of the park. The overachiever in me was like, not only will she be exclusively breastfed, I'm sure I'll have her tap dancing by 6 months old. So then I just leaned in so hard and fought it to exclusively breastfeed her from like, I don't know, she was probably 3 weeks old until she was almost 4 months old.
Oh my God.
And I remember my mom being like, this is stupid. You're turning into a zombie. I would not have done this for you. You need to stop.
I love it. I love that she's like, I would not have done this for
No,
you.
my mom was like, this is too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny because I feel like once you figure out what your body can handle and you actually
Yeah.
lean into that, it gets easier.
Yeah. It's funny you say that too. I think that was another big, we've talked about this, but like, so I exclusively breastfed, never like without any formula for 3 weeks and then fell off a cliff. I was like, I can't do
Yeah.
it. Like I'm done. Um, and I think that's interesting because like, that's like one of my biggest pieces of advice. I'm like, even if you're going to exclusively breastfeed, start with formula in the hospital because like that night, those first, and we had awful nurses the first time. Thank God they were wonderful this time. We put, that's also second piece of advice for those first couple days, put your baby in the nursery,
Yeah,
get
we
some
did
sleep
that.
so you can recover. Yeah. Because we had the baby not in the nursery and I was exclusively breastfeeding. And it was just like those first 2 nights, not only I had just given birth, but like I just didn't sleep. It was like every 45 minutes because they're not getting anything. They're getting like literally a drop of breast milk. And
Right.
so even if you're going to or your plan is to exclusively breastfeed, I would say supplement with formula until your milk comes in so you don't drive yourself crazy in the first week. Like it's just madness to try and
And destroy your nipples.
yes, and have your nipples bleeding and like
I hate when
scab.
they're like, now it shouldn't hurt. I'm like, really? When is the last time you've had someone hanging from your nipple?
Right. Exactly. No, that's so true. That's so true. Yeah, so it's so funny because like and it's funny because last time like I didn't really care and for some reason I think I got guilted into yeah, by like a pediatrician was like, "Well, obviously you have to like this for our first pediatrician and we changed after this appointment, but she was like, "Obviously you need to breastfeed for at least the first 4 to 6 weeks, like, exclusively, so there's no, like, nipple confusion." Nipple confusion is not a thing, you guys. Like, it's just not.
Our pediatrician was awesome. And I went in really frazzled. Dr. Adhikari actually listens to our podcast. So
Hi.
I hope she hears this. And I went in, I was so frazzled the one day that I had started crying because I hadn't slept. And she was like, are you okay? Are you trying to breastfeed too much? Like you can supplement. And then she was like, you know that any amount of milk is good, right? Any like fed is best and any amount of breast milk is good. But she was immensely helpful. And if
Yeah,
you're in Chicago, you should try and get an appointment with her because she's the best.
I've gotta check
Um,
her out. Yeah, it's funny because I had even this time, there was the pediatrician that came by, it wasn't ours because, like, it was from Lurie. Our pediatrician doesn't do rounds at the hospital,
mhm.
and she was like, "No, no, it's totally fine, like, if you wanna combo feed and everything, like, yeah, I mean, the formula will will, like, ruin any good bacteria in your baby's body, but, like, it's totally fine." You know what I mean? I was like, "So that's not helpful." Like, that's
Your kid
not
will be fine with one eye. I mean, they could have two if
totally
you would just exclusively breastfeed. But yeah, that's cool. Like if you're the kind of mom that thinks one eye is fine, that's okay.
she
Cool.
said that, and I was kinda like,
Super
"Excuse me?"
helpful. Thank you.
She was like, I
Thanks,
mean,
because my hormones are actually really even right now, so I can take that feedback well too.
right? And I'm like, it was just like such a thank God I'm a second time mom because like fuck you. Like don't,
Yeah.
she was like, because I was like, well, we'll combo feed, I figured like it's something, but I don't want to like stress myself out like I did last time. And she was like, yeah, no, I mean, the reality is like the formula will destroy any good bacteria. And I was just like, fuck you, get out of my room.
Yeah. No,
But it was, yeah. So combo feed, you guys, if this is your first time or second time, please combo feed at the beginning so that you can like get up because it's funny. I was saying like at this point, he's like 99% breast milk.
Right.
And I'm not even doing that like purposely. It's just like that's just how much I'm pumping. And so I'm able to keep up with him. I'm not like I don't have a surplus or anything.
Yeah.
But it's like I've been very much this time like I will feed him in a way that feels good mentally for me. And at the moment, that's pumping. Oh, that's another thing that LV pump is.
I know you make me want to get the LV pump now.
I'll just give you mine because I'm not breastfeeding past December. I can tell you right now. But yeah, the LV pump is fantastic. Remember last time you were like, I loved pumping because I could like multitask.
Yes.
You're gonna like this makes you like a bionic woman. It's incredible
Oh, I
because you
mean,
can like
that is the name of my game.
that's because like Jen, I'm like I put my
It's,
pump in and then I make myself coffee and then I make
oh,
Teddy's
it's
breakfast.
defined multitasking. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean it's incredible. And then like boom, I've like fed my baby and fed my toddler. Like it's like bam bam. I'm incredible.
yeah.
Yeah, I've been loving it. And all the things that I've read, like it's not as strong and all these other things, like I completely disagree because
Yeah.
like almost ripped my nipples off. So turn it down. I've learned to turn it down, but I'm like, I don't know what you guys are talking about because this thing's very strong.
Yeah.
Um,
So, what are you loving the most about two so far? I bet you I know the answer to this question, but do you know
mm,
what's like your favorite part about having two?
um, do you hear him? My favorite. So I don't know if I'm at my favorite part yet. I think my favorite part will be when they can play together.
I was just thinking that after I said that they're not really together right now because Teddy has a cold, but it's probably when Teddy is around him.
Yeah, I think it's cute. I mean, the reality is right now Teddy's kind of bored with him.
Sure. He
Like
doesn't
he
do
doesn't do
anything.
anything. He's like, baby brother sleeping again. Like I'm like, yeah, that's all he does is sleep. So I think it'll be much more fun. I think Teddy will Mercer has this funny little like noise he makes right now. Obviously, it's not a laugh, but it sounds like a laugh where he goes, and so Teddy thinks he's laughing at him sometimes, and Teddy is like so proud of himself. So that's cute. And I think like when he actually can like make him laugh and they can interact more, that'll be really sweet. At the moment, it's just kind of like, oh, he's sleeping again. Like this kid's
Yeah.
boring as heck.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cute. So I read this article about kind of like pros and cons of having two kids. This woman was like trying to decide if she wanted two kids. And one of the takeaways was that your parenting time actually only increases between 6 minutes and 1 hour per day with a second child,
Oh,
which I thought was fascinating because like you're already parenting. So it's like,
right.
and they also talked about how you do much more passive parenting with two kids because as soon as they can play together, you can just like supervise
Right.
and you can do other things while they play together and entertain each other. So that is, I mean, I grew up with four siblings. I completely agree. That's my whole childhood. I just remember my mom always being like, go play with your sibling.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that is, I don't know, that made me like excited. I'm like, oh, 6 minutes? Easy. I can do that. Yeah. So I think my favorite part is yet to come.
Yeah. Has anything caught you by surprise?
I don't think like anything crazy. Um, I definitely healed faster this time. I mean, I only pushed for 10 minutes, so I think it was like not that I'm like 100%, but like but it's again, I was like at the beach. I was like bopping around.
Yeah.
I've been like walking a ton. I don't know. I don't think that there's been anything. I was surprised at how quickly we talked about I don't know how to like take care of a newborn and like it all just comes back. It just
Yeah.
like you
Classic.
start to remember everything, which is great. Yeah. What
So,
else?
what advice? I think the only other, so you're, two steps ahead of me. What do you have like any advice? Anything you wish you had done or?
I mean, I think like don't be so scared by other people. Like the whole people scared me with the like there's nothing that's as bad as like 1 to 2.
Right.
And I don't agree with that at all. And I think everyone has a different experience. And I think some people who had it easier or like didn't get their world rocked as much by like 0 to 1, maybe that's why. But I don't know. It's not, again, it takes us like a little bit longer to get out of the house, but at the moment, I'm not like going crazy. I mean, I think the night nurse has been life saving. And this time, like, I got this advice from another veteran mom of 3 boys. She was like, if you can afford to outsource it, outsource it. Like, everything is so temporary right now. And I think that that was like a big thing with the night nurse for me, is I was going so back and forth because I was like, it's expensive. Like, yeah. But I'm like, it's expensive for 6 weeks. It's
Right.
like, and I think that a lot of times, like, we talk ourselves out of it for some reason. And it's like,
Mhm.
this time I had to really think, like, what's my mental health worth? And that also like includes like going back to work. I think that that was something that I really had to factor in this time, with owning our own business, like, well, technically, like, I surprise, I'm taking 3 months off. No, but well, technically, like, I could have taken a longer maternity leave if I wanted to. Like, it didn't make sense in my like it for me. Like, it just didn't make sense because we have holiday coming up, and that's a really good season for us, and I'm like, it would have been missing out on a lot of money. And so it was more like, why would I like, why don't I just prioritize my like mental health now and my sleep so that I can be in a good place in 6 weeks?
Mhm.
And then like that, making that money back won't be like an issue. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, instead of grinding myself down so much like I was last time, and I was like so exhausted. Yeah, I don't even know where I'm going with this anymore, but
No, I think it's good. I mean,
outsource like as
you're
much
going
as
with
you
the
can.
flow and outsource it.
Yeah. Yeah, and just like as much as you possibly can, like asking, and like that's I don't know, I don't know if it's like asking for help so much as just like figuring out what you need and making sure like those resources are there, that like you have them readily available,
Right.
um like when you need them. And I don't even know what that is because I think it's different for everyone. Like, maybe it doesn't have to be a night nurse. Like, it could be someone to come during the day and help for a couple hours. It could be,
Right.
your
That's
parent. I mean, your
actually why
parents.
I'm excited that we'll have a nanny,
Yeah, totally. No, I think that that's huge.
because it'll
Um,
just be like an extra set of hands around.
right, right. But yeah, I was gonna say your parents will, I mean, my mom was here for a couple weeks and she'll probably come back in a couple weeks to help out. Like, I still don't know what I'm doing for the transition back to work. I've got to figure out some sort of nanny situation.
Yeah.
And we'll start to figure that out this coming week when Kyle goes back to the office. Yeah, I don't know. What are you, I don't want to say like most scared of, but like, what do you have
I have the
any,
answer.
what are you most scared of?
Chicago winter.
Yeah. Oh, okay, right, because you're
Like
in.
we'll have a newborn that's a few weeks old as we hit like January 2nd and everything's all gray and the holidays are done.
Yeah,
At that I'm like, oh, I hope that's gonna be I'm wondering, it'll go one of two ways. It'll either make me stir crazy, or I'll appreciate the slowdown and the snuggles and like
yeah,
all of that. But I'm like nervous that we won't be able to get out of the house.
yeah,
Because we went, and now it'll be different too with COVID and cold and flu and whatever. But when we had Emmy, we like went out to eat
right.
a
Yeah,
lot.
a lot in at the beginning.
Yeah. And now we probably won't be able to go anywhere. And I don't know how many people we'll be able to see.
Right, because of COVID and
Right.
just having a newborn around.
Yeah. Because, even now you can like hang out with people outside and whatnot.
Yeah,
Mm.
I will say there. I don't know if it's an upside. I think Chicago January through March always sucks, right? Like, kind of no matter what the situation. But I will say, like, the possible upside is like coming out of that first 3 months when the baby is so small, you'll like be emerging into spring.
So I have thought of that where I'm like, once we get through winter,
Right.
then we'll also have this like decently sized baby that can go do things.
Yeah, totally. And like I think of it kind of like this pregnancy actually. I was so sick like January, February, March, but by time like April, May and the weather was warming up, I didn't miss any
Right.
warm like nice weather because I was sick. Whereas last time I was sick through the nice weather, which I was really annoyed by.
Yeah. I at least won't be missing out because I don't think people will be like hanging out with
Right.
anything like super.
That's what yeah, it's like, and that's not always the best way to look at it, but like it kind of is something,
Yeah.
especially right now with COVID. Like, I don't know, every time I bring him out of the house, and I'm not generally a super anxious person, like I've been anxious.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to just cover him and I want like, I don't know, I'm just so sick of people and I just
Yeah,
think
I don't blame
everyone is an unvaccinated idiot. So
you. It would be nice if everyone got their vaccines.
it would be really nice if everyone got their vaccines. I talked to my pediatrician today and she is hopeful that vaccines will be available for 2 to 12 in December.
Yeah, they said on the Today Show this morning that they thought maybe there's a chance they'll start rolling them out in October.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that
I've only
soon.
heard end of the year, so I don't know. That was
That
the
would be
first
so
time.
nice for you.
Yeah. I
Like for the newborn stage, I'm really hoping they get it for that. Like
I
in
would
time.
love to have Emmy vaccinated ASAP.
Yeah. I think that that would be I'm like with daycare and Teddy, like I'm just like get these kids the damn vaccine,
Well, it also
just
would be nice to get them vaccinated before cold and flu really hits hard because the
right.
symptoms are the same.
Exactly.
And I think that would lower everyone's stress levels if we could just get vaccinated.
Yeah, I mean, it gets stressful when you start hearing about kids in the hospital now too. It
Yeah,
was before it was kind of like
I'm kind of sick of hearing like, oh, kids don't get that sick. Only 1 to 2% die or whatever the statistic is.
right.
It's,
And I'm
it's like
like,
that is somebody's child. That 1 to 2%
right.
is still someone's child who did not come home. And that's not okay.
Totally. It's very it's starting to, you know what I mean? Like that scares me. Again, it's like I just don't I don't want to gamble with it. Like I want our kids to be healthy. I want us to be healthy. And
Right.
yeah, it would be really nice if you could get that before baby comes. Fingers crossed. Oh boy. You ready for number 2?
I want to get into a house first.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's really good that so I've been also talking to my therapist every single week. Like didn't miss a week every Wednesday. And so it was like she was just like, just let me know if you need to like skip or like if you're having a baby. And so it's been really nice. I think like I know you said you started with a therapist. I think that has got me through my whole pregnancy, but then it also
Yeah.
like afterwards, I just was definitely not in a good space mentally. And I don't think I really realized it last time. And it's
Mhm.
just so nice to have someone um to check in with every week, like
Oh, I'm super pumped.
and make sure that I'm not make sure that I'm not literally losing my mind,
Yeah.
like especially with hormones and everything else, just like having someone to validate things and um just talk through all of the craziness. I'm also like this time on medication that I've been taking since the pandemic, since last time when I had like postpartum depression. I started taking it and then I went off for a second, and then like pandemic hit and I was like, "Ooh, think it's time to get back on my medication."
Yeah.
So I've been on that for like through my pregnancy and everything, and that has also like hugely helped. And I know like it's not for everyone, but I always just like to like normalize it as much as I can because I think
Yeah.
it's one of those things that it's not talked about. And I wish I had done it last time because it's like I could have saved myself so much stress and like, I don't know, craziness. And I think I would have been in a better place much faster.
Yeah. I hear you. I'm excited because I feel I'm the kind of person that like gives until I'm completely depleted.
You do. You go look for problems that you can solve for other people.
Yeah. And I need to quit that. So, or at least minimize because I
Yes.
do think it is part of my charm, but I need to quit it.
It can be part of your charm and you can also draw boundaries with it.
Exactly. And that's what I have to get better with.
Yeah. I'm excited for the new house, Jen.
Oh my God, you and me both. I mean, I gotta be honest, it could be a tent at this point with actually it could be 4 different tents so that we each get a tent. Even while we were recording here, everyone knew that I was down here recording with you. Matt comes down, he's on the stairs. My mom is texting me. I'm like, oh my God.
Honestly, maybe this winter, I feel like you're gonna come back to me in like February and be like, that was great. I didn't have to see anyone.
And it's great. My new office at the house is like a she shed. Like it's almost separate from the house. Have
Oh,
you
that's
heard the
amazing.
concept of a she shed?
Yes.
Okay. So my new office is like almost a she shed. It's borderline separate from the house. It has a separate door to get in and out.
Oh, that's amazing.
As soon
So
as
I
we
can just
walked in, I was
come, I
like,
can
this
sneak
one's
in.
my office. Yeah, exactly. Because then I was thinking, I was like, when Jessie comes, depending on, I had no idea what the childcare situation would be.
Yeah.
It's like she could either come right in or leave or,
Right. No, that's actually really,
come
really
into the house if
nice.
she wants to see Emmy, or the baby. But yeah, so I can't wait. Now I'm like anxious and can't wait to get in.
It'll go fast, all of this. I'm also wishing for myself to go fast. Not too fast, but fast enough. I'm ready to get to to get to those 8-hour stretches of sleep. So the other thing is we because we're swapping, one of us is downstairs and one of us is upstairs, like
Yeah.
sleeping in our bed. And I like really miss just sleeping in my bed for a full night. I mean, again, we have the night nurse, so it's like we do it twice a week, but
I
I
would
don't know.
say I feel for you, but I haven't been in my bed in 5 months.
You don't care.
So similar to your struggles of Teddy not sleeping through the night until 2 months when Emmy didn't sleep through the night till 6. I only feel for you at
Fair
half
enough.
capacity.
Fair enough. I understand.
But no, you do deserve a good night's sleep in your bed.
Oh
So
man.
we could sit here and blab all day, and I'm sure people would like to get back to whatever they were doing now. I'm always mindful of people's time.
I know you're always like, and I want to be mindful of your time.
Yeah.
Jen's always like, no one wants to listen to us for an hour. I'm like, I'd listen to us for an hour.
I was like, oh God, I got too many things to do. I can't sit here and listen for an hour.
I know. I listen to like 3-hour podcasts. You and Kyle think I'm crazy. You're always like, who are you listening to?
Yeah, when we first started this, I was like, how long should they be? 10, 20 minutes? Just like,
Jen's like, no one has 30, 40 minutes. I'm like, yes, they do.
Oh, well, Jessie, where can the people find you?
The people can find me. My blog is jessiebarnesbernhardt.com. That's BERNHARD as in dog, T as in Tom. I'm going to say this out loud because then I'll hopefully adhere to it. I'm going to put a couple blog posts up while I'm out on maternity leave. Get going again, get the wheels turning. Jen doesn't believe me.
I didn't say a thing.
I have like 3 posts that are 70% done.
I'm going to guess that there's more than 3 posts that are 70% done.
There are, but there are 3 that I want to get out. And then my Instagram is Jessie B. Bernhardt, where there are a lot of cute baby pictures right now in my stories.
Yes.
Jen, where can people find you?
Well, they can find me on Instagram at jen.naye, Naye, or jennaye.com. They can also follow The Marketing Greenhouse at The Marketing Greenhouse, or our website is themarketinggreenhouse.com.
Yes. And please, if you are enjoying this podcast as much as we are enjoying making it, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. They are a big deal. And we have a handful of 5-star ones and we'd love more. So please go over and tell us you love us if you do.
All right. And we'll see you
Or even
soon.
if you don't, you can tell us you love us. All right. See you soon.
Bye.